What we're doing is providing a service for the caregivers by taking really good care of their children. And that's just very rare, which we're delighted to be in that space, but then, we almost can't grow fast enough because we have people coming from all over the state.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast. My name is Nancy Moore, and I am the host of this weekly podcast that provides career and creative inspiration to help you build a passionate and purpose-filled life. You'll hear from guests that will help you tap into your creative potential, pursue a career with passion, and build on your biggest and best resource, yourself. I'm excited to have you join this conversation. I'm so happy you're here. Let's get started. This month, March, is National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. And to raise awareness of this, we are visiting with Hi, everybody. So March is National Developmental Disabilities Month, and in order to raise awareness, I am visiting with Jeanette O'Hara, who is the founder and director of Will's House. Jeanette and her husband Brad have partnered to create a support system for parents and caregivers of children with disabilities who need support, encouragement, and a break from the demands of parenting a child or children with developmental disabilities. So during this conversation, she is going to share more about how Will's House was conceived, who it's for, and for people in the local area, how to get involved, and then also people that are outside our area. She has some ways that you can also support Will's House. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation with Jeanette. You guys, I am so happy to welcome a phenomenal individual that I actually found out about recently who is doing some great things in the Tulsa area, specifically Jinx. And I can't wait for you to hear more about what she's doing. She is the founder of Will's House, and we're going to talk about what Will's House is and who it was named after. But I am so happy to welcome Jeanette O'Hara today. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I am so glad to be talking to you. We have some mutual connections. I've interviewed Christy Neuendorp on the podcast, and I know you know Christy, and she loves what you're doing and thinks it's phenomenal. So just to kind of give people an idea, about who you are, if you'll share just a little bit about, you and your family. We'll start out there.
Sure. My name is Jeanette O'Hara. I'm married to my husband, Brad. We've been married 16 years. I'm a physical therapist by career. I worked as a physical therapist for about 13 or 14 years, mostly in pediatric or psychiatric facilities. My husband and I also decided to do medical needs foster care and adoption after we had two of our own biological sons. We entered into that world, and through that process, we met our son, Will. He was terminally ill when he came to us. We knew that we would be with him at the end of his life, but we really felt like he was the right guy for us. So we walked with him through that, and he actually passed away in February of 2017. And we moved on through that process to adopt two more boys. So that brings us to 4. And at the same time, we were finding out that one of our biological sons also had disabilities, pretty significant disabilities. So around 2020, when COVID was happening and things were kind of shutting down, we kind of were looking at, we need to be more available to our kids. One of our sons was coming out of the school system. He was going to be homeschooled. And my husband was kind of like, you have this experience as a physical therapist and now as a mom. If you were going to cash in your network of families that you serve and of families that we're walking alongside this journey with, like, what would be the dream? Like, what would we do? What would you do with that network? And he was kind of like, would you start your own physical therapy place? Like that kind of thing. And I was like, oh no, that doesn't sound fun at all. But I was seeing, how much our supportive community meant, and that we couldn't have done fostering, or we couldn't have done our kids without, our friends and our family supporting us. And as a physical therapist, I was seeing families that would come in and just be like, I just need to go get groceries, but say maybe their mom didn't feel comfortable watching their child because they had oxygen, or, they were nervous about their behaviors and they just weren't finding anyone to like give them a break. And so kind of out of all these things, we were looking for something that we could do with our family, but that would meet needs in some of the gaps across the lifespan. Like I said, little ones that aren't in school yet, but maybe medically fragile. Those moms aren't getting a break. School-age kids like ours that aren't able to be in school, those parents are not getting a break. There's a giant cliff when kids graduate from high school where a caregiver is coming back out of the workforce to stay home full-time with their adult if they're not able to be independent. And so it kind of came out of that where like, what could we do? We could watch these kids. We could essentially do childcare, which in the disability world, it's called respite care, which, if you Google it, you're not going to get all these businesses that do respite care. It's such a foreign term, but really it just means to give someone a break. And so out of COVID, we started Will's House, named in honor of our son that died, and we started meeting needs for people that needed breaks, whether it was short or longer. And our goal was to have a house that was a respite house, that was not our house, it was not anyone's house, sort of like an Airbnb that you can customize for who's there. So if you have a baby and they come and they're going to stay there, it becomes their house. If you have an adult that's semi-independent, it becomes their house, and we just provide the amount of support that they need. So we launched Will's House, and we serve as a family. My kids are sometimes there, sometimes they're not there, but it provides community for us, and it provides a service for families that need to know that they can take a break, even if it's just to go to a medical appointment without their children with them. Yeah, so we've been doing that about 4 years, and it's just growing and growing, and we're really loving it.
I love that, because the need is there. You're seeing it. The need is definitely there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing in Oklahoma, again, like if you search for children for respite, you will find a facility that's several hours from here that may be able to take them on a wait list basis, or you wouldn't know the caregivers necessarily. Like there's that, or they'll say to find your own. They can give, the state can give money through these vouchers, but you would have to find your own person. And a lot of the families that I meet, they don't have a person. They don't have family here, maybe because they moved, or their grandparents raising their grandkids, and they don't have peers that are going to watch their grandchild. A lot of people don't have one person that can watch. And it gets even harder when you have an adult that's dependent, or just needs some behavioral support, or just needs some help with their medications or things. There's not services. Like I said, if you Google it, there's no other businesses, or if you were looking for businesses or nonprofits that were serving caregivers as their clientele, there's a lot of disability services. But what we're doing is providing a service for the caregivers by taking really good care of their children. And that's just very rare, which we're delighted to be in that space, but then we almost can't grow fast enough because we have people coming from all over the state. We have people coming from out of state saying, if we can get our kids to you, can you watch them? And it's wild because there needs to be more opportunities for respite care. It needs to be more normalized for caregivers to take breaks. It doesn't really make sense for them not to. It's dangerous for everyone for them not to. A lot of times we say, it's like if you think about shift work, like they're not going to let a nurse work over a 24-hour shift and then again, and then again, and then again, or a truck driver is limited to how many hours they can drive. Well, we're doing this hard work all day and all night and all day and all night with no breaks, and no one's saying there needs to be a break here for your mental health, for your safety, for all of these reasons. So respite care needs to be a term that people are more familiar with for sure, but I mean, we always say too, if people want to compete or people want to have a for-profit business, this is an untapped area in disability services for sure.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's good to know. But I'm sorry to hear that it's not readily available or widely available for all who need it. And people are even coming out of state. So let me ask, I know this has been going on for 4 years. Do you have a physical location now? You have a home that is Will's house, or is it within your home?
No, we have our own home that is the Will's house. It is in Jinx. It's a single family home. It's got 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's just a house that is incredibly safe. It's set up, we say it's facility safe, but what we're going for is a home feeling so that everyone becomes familiar with it. It's wonderful because little kids can come and they feel like they're with a family member at this home that's full of toys and fun things. It's super safe. And then they can grow up knowing, you know, this is a place I've come before, or if they had to stay overnight or if there was an emergency, they'd be like, I know this house, this is okay. A lot of our adults love it because they get to practice independence from their families. Like if their families travel and they get to come stay with me or at the Will's house, they're getting to do the most that they can do, feel like they're on their own, feel like they're having their own little vacation. The house is really wonderful. The model is great as far as it's comfortable. It's very safe for us as providers. There's not dangerous things, you know, in the house. It is just a gift. We're hoping that we could replicate the house model and have more houses, especially in rural areas. If we know how to do this model, we could continue to plant those and be able to offer more services eventually. But yeah, the Will's house currently is in Jinx, and we use it for everything from a couple hours for a parent to go to an appointment or to go on a date night. But we can use it for longer too. We can use it overnight. We can use it when people travel or if there's an emergency.
Okay. Okay. I was wondering how that worked. So let's talk about money. Let's talk about financial. So how is this funded?
Right. I mean, that's definitely a challenge. One of the reasons we set up as a nonprofit organization is so that we could meet the need quickly, regardless of what someone's financial status is. A lot of disability services, their intake has a lot to do with your financial qualifications or, you know, what you do and don't have. I wanted to just be able to help people pretty much immediately because we were coming out of COVID and people needed help like right away. So we started providing services free of charge while we were setting up the house to receive the respite vouchers from the state. We can receive what's called DDS waiver services money now from the state if people have it. But because we're a nonprofit, we can provide the services whether or not someone has the waiver or the vouchers. So by diversifying our funds through grants and charitable donations and fundraising, we've been able to do that. So some people pay what they can, some people make donations, some people were providing the services totally free of charge. It's my favorite thing, honestly, when families are saying, they'll always meet me and they'll start to tell me their qualifications, like financially, because they're so used to doing that. They're saying like, you know, oh, I'm trying to get these services, but I don't have it yet. Or I'm trying, and I say, I don't need to know. Like, I don't want to hear it. If we can help you, we'll just help you. Because I live that life too. I'm always trying to see what I qualify for or what wait list I'm on. And we just really want to be able to meet needs. So financially, like I said, we've been able to do that and to grow. And certainly as people are seeing that we've proven the need, that, I mean, our house could be full all the time. We do get great grants and charitable donations that help us keep going. And I appreciate the community so much for that, for seeing the need. And I know our families really appreciate that too. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to include your information so people can have that and reach out to you, because maybe that's on somebody else's heart to start a home or, you know, have provide respite care in their home for, you know, even one day a week or whatever it is. I mean, I think you kind of started out like that in your home, and then you were able through fundraising to get an actual location, a home, which is incredible in such a short time because it's just been 4 years. Yeah,
we got our house in 2022. So yeah, we've been running, this is our second or third full year that will be, last year from January to December, we provided over 2,000 hours of respite from the home. So it's pretty, and now we're adding providers, but we're maxing out the one house. We're also working on utilizing some national respite provider trainings that are not used in Oklahoma. So if someone did want to become a provider, or we have a lot of caregivers that are like, I have time, I can give back, we're really working on that, developing some programming for younger students, or maybe people that think they might want a career in the disability world. Maybe they could work as respite providers as they go through school, those kind of things. We're really trying to make it a unique career path that we could have some more caregivers, relieving other caregivers and grow across Oklahoma. Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. So you are looking also for volunteers, and tell me about the volunteers, because I don't know if there has to be a background check.
Right. We utilize volunteers in a few different ways. What's great is there's a lot of businesses that do charity days. We have a house and a yard, and always have projects where they're not caregiving related. Like we have groups that can come and clean, or come and paint, or come and freshen up a space, come help with the yard work. Those things really do keep our costs low. We have an Amazon wish list. People can purchase things for the house so that our caregivers are just having to show up and be there. Like an Airbnb, it's ready for us to work there. So that's one way we utilize volunteers without a background check. They're not having direct access to the children that we provide care for, but we also do utilize volunteers for child care or for young adult care. We're starting to group more socially. Say we have teenagers on Friday nights, and we have 4 or 5 of them. We can have some volunteers come and help us. And they don't really have to do any of the medical care. They're just coming and developing relationships and helping. Anyone that's directly with children obviously has to have a background check and CPR and first aid and things like that. But we utilize a lot of volunteers that are like me, that they're either therapists or nurses working part-time, or students. We have OT students, and we can utilize a lot of different people. Certainly, house maintenance and things like that really does help. So there's a lot. I think it's fun to come volunteer. You can come. We have families that come and bring their children to help, and it's a fun environment. They can clean toys and they can see, what it is. And every time they come, it's an opportunity for us to share like what respite care is and why we need it. And hopefully they go back out and say, why do we not have more of this? So it's all an opportunity for advocacy, really. But we love our volunteers. We have great volunteers. We have people that give toys, so our kids always have new toys, or donate activities and things too. So very helpful.
Well, you're an outstanding advocate.
Oh, thanks.
So, yes. So speaking of that, so March is National Developmental Disabilities Month. And that's one important reason why I thought I just want to, spread the word and be talking about this. So people kind of have an understanding of what you're going through and what people are going through that have kids with developmental disabilities. And so I'd like to ask about a myth that people might not know about having a child with disabilities. And then if you'd like to maybe bust that myth.
Oh, there's a couple of myths that I think, like I said, one myth is that everyone has help. That's just not true. We have people that have never left their kids with anyone in 20 years. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, they don't leave them with anyone. It could be that your neighbor, you've never even seen them come out because they're a full-time caregiver, or they might not be able to safely feel like they can walk to their mailbox without their child running out, or, there are caregivers everywhere. It's a huge amount of our population that is caregiving full-time. We just maybe don't get out to advocate because we're busy caregiving. So that's a huge one, is that everybody's taken care of, or there must be these places that, if you look at daycare, there's not daycares that are taking kids with G tubes or with oxygen or these things. It's a myth that everyone has someone that can relieve them. That is absolutely not true. For me, a perfect example, I have multiple kids that have disabilities. I have 4 kids total, 3 with disabilities. So it would honestly take 2 or 3 people to watch my children safely. So I don't have childcare on a regular basis, and I don't have even school for one of mine. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that we really do provide this care all the time and don't feel hopeful about relief. Also, sadly enough, our children are very vulnerable. When you do find care, you have to really make sure that you can trust them. Every parent that lives this life would tell you they're scared that their child's going to get hurt. One of my kids is nonverbal and non-ambulatory, and he's at risk for being hurt by a caregiver. So these are the things, like, together, not having anyone and then not being able to trust, we really need high quality caregiving individuals that want to be doing this work so that our children are safe. So the stress of those two things really does complicate our lives and our mental health. And it also, you're taking really amazing people. Each caregiver is so unique in like what their skills are. They're not just caregivers. They have education in a different field. And you're taking them from the world. So you're robbing, careers of these amazing people. We just need to be looking out for our caregivers and kind of be more aware, like, who in your life do you know that might be in this boat and you think they're doing okay, or maybe you see them from time to time. Like, there's a lot that you could do to ask them how they're doing, or if they're getting breaks. So I think that's the main thing, is not everybody has someone, and caregiving is really challenging and sort of relentless. Like, we love our kids so much, but your day is going to be the same, whether it's your birthday or whether you're sick. You're still caregiving. It doesn't stop. It's all the time. So we really do need support, and Developmental Disabilities Month is amazing, and there are more supports, which is encouraging. But I think the focus on how are caregivers doing and how can we help them, come alongside them, not just provide services for the individuals, but for these caregivers.
Hey, everybody, I just want to take a short break from this podcast to remind you about my upcoming event, Conversations with Passion and Purpose. I would love for you to get on my email list to learn about upcoming events. I will have 5 in total this year, and then also some fun surprises along the way. So if you are in the Tulsa area, I would love to have you in the room with us during these conversations. You can participate, you can network, you can connect, learn, and grow. To join my email list, go to my website, sharingpassionandpurpose.com, and click on Nancy's Nudge of Encouragement, and you can add your name to the email list, and I will be sending out information as I get it about these awesome guests that I visit with. So thank you, and I hope to see you in the room this year. And now back to the podcast.
Even in the world of mental health or counseling, can we do more to come to them? Can we do, if they can't get out to therapy and they need help? There's ways to think outside the box to provide services for caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing that this was on your heart and you did think outside the box and how you could help. And to fill this need, I know in our community, the people who are working with you are so blessed. And so, my hat goes off to you that you're doing this. I think it's absolutely incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, amazing. So speaking of, so you're talking about how you personally have kids with disabilities, and you know that it's hard for you to take a break. So how do you take a break?
Well, that's a great question.
Yourself. Yeah.
Everyone asks me that question. I have an amazing husband, which that's another blessing to have 2-parent home. I would not make it without that. We do a lot of switching off, to be honest. I mean, it'll be like, this is your time off, this is my time off. We try to take breaks from the caregiving by utilizing each other. But then, of course, you're looking at, like, when do we get date nights, or when do we get to do anything? And that is hard. That is an ongoing challenge. We try to make space for it. We're trying to enlist more respite providers through Will's House and more of our community to lean on them to take a break. But to be honest, we don't get a lot of breaks. When I do, it takes a significant amount of time for me to stop my brain from caregiving. Like, say I went to Target, like, to mindlessly walk around like some moms do. I usually am spending a good amount of that time thinking, what do I need to do to help my kids I'm like walking around Target still thinking about my kids and how to make our situation better or happier or safer, so I will say that it does take an amount of time for our brains to calm down to actually do something that is self-care or to relax enough to choose something that we like. I think that's just a sign of how our brains are, always going in that direction. It does physically take time for us to chill and to relax and to take self-care. So it's important to have enough time of a break. And when I'm providing care, to provide enough time for them to really wind down. But yeah, the goal is to create more providers so that I can have a break as well. It's the need that I have as well. And that's why we do what we do. We're trying to grow. And my boys are growing up at the Wills house and they're growing up being around other providers. So hopefully, we're building trust and we're building the ability to do that as they get older as well. So
yeah,
it's a work in progress.
Yeah. Oh, I get that for sure. Okay. So my last question then in wrapping up, it goes with my podcast theme, and it's thriving in 2025. So I'm wondering what you're doing to thrive either personally or professionally. Because I will say, just observing you and talking to people who know you, you are not just surviving, you're thriving. The people around you, that is, the ripple effect of helping the people around you. And so something that we want to know. So what are you doing? What are you going to do?
I'm honestly just really overwhelmed by how well Will's house is doing, and that, we've made it to this point where we are thriving, where we're having kind of a better impact and more education of the community and more donors and bigger things. I think for me, I'm very serious about our standard of care and our quality of care being just excellent. We have a perfect safety record, and that just means everything to me. So I want the quality of care to just remain awesome while we're growing. We have got to grow, and I'm very excited about that. But I won't grow it without watching that standard. Like, I want it to just be the best as it grows. If that makes sense. Like, I want to keep the control over that. I want to be confident about every time I get an opportunity to present it in the community or to educate people about respite care. I think this is my year to say, okay, like this is thriving, this is going, but we need some champions to push it to the next level. Like, it needs to be running all the time. It needs to be growing to serve more people. I don't want to have people on wait lists. I don't want to keep telling people I don't have the availability. I want it to grow. And I think for me, just personally and professionally, I feel like I have had this career shift from being a physical therapist to being a professional respite provider, which was kind of a scary move, to be honest. Like, am I good at that? And I think now going into this year, like, we're standing on a really good thing, and it's time to confidently project a vision for what it can be for Oklahoma, and to get Oklahoma and Tulsa excited about the fact that they have this new thing that is a positive, safe thing that's really helping people. I just want to steward it right, and I want to present it right, and I want the quality to just be exemplary. That's really my goal.
Okay, that's outstanding. Okay, I just am, again, so impressed with you, and I hope people listening can, I know that they're hearing that your heart is so in this and that you want to provide that outstanding, exemplary care, and I'm glad that you're helping spread the word and spread awareness about what you're doing and what is needed, not only here in Tulsa, in Oklahoma, and beyond. Sounds like it's a huge need. But I thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you being here. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn are at Sharing Passion and Purpose, and Twitter is at Passion Sharing. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.